Imagine for a moment that everything you believe about yourself is just a program, an old code written in your brain by years of repetitive thoughts, emotions, and reactions. You wake up every morning and run this app automatically without even realizing it. The same thoughts produce the same feelings. The same feelings generate the same actions, and those actions create the same reality. Day after day, month after month, year after year, and you wonder why nothing changes. But what if I told you that your brain doesn't know the difference between real experiences and experiences that you vividly imagine? What if you could use this power to rewrite your entire biology? When you think back to a past event, say a moment of humiliation or pain, your body reacts as if it's happening right now. Your heart beats faster, palms sweat, adrenaline is released into the bloodstream. Your body lives in the past while your mind travels back in time. And here's the paradox. You're literally ordering your genes to create the same chemistry of suffering every day. You are addicted to your own unhappiness because your body is used to this cocktail of stress hormones. Now turn this model upside down. If a memory can make the body feel the past as the present, then why not use imagination to make the body feel the future as the present? This is where true alchemy begins. Quantum physics tells us something revolutionary. The observer influences the outcome of the experiment. The very act of observing collapses the wave function and turns the possibility into reality. You are an observer of your life. Every thought you focus on is an act of observation. You literally choose which opportunity to turn into your reality. But there is one problem. Most people try to create a new future using the emotions of the past. They want abundance, but they are in short supply. They want love, but exude loneliness. They want health, but they identify with the disease. The universe does not respond to your words or desires. It reacts to your energy, to your vibration, to the electromagnetic signal that you emit every second. Your heart generates an electric field that is 5,000 times more powerful than the brain field. This field can be measured at a distance of a few meters from your body. When you feel gratitude, joy, love, you literally transmit this signal into the quantum field of possibilities. And the field responds to you with circumstances that resonate with your frequency. Therefore, meditation is not just about relaxation or a moment of silence. This is a transformation technology. When you close your eyes and disconnect from the outside world, you cease to be someone somewhere at some time. You become pure consciousness. And from this space of pure potentiality, you can consciously choose who you want to be. Imagine that you are already the person you dream of becoming. Don't think about it abstractly. Feel it with your whole body. How does your heart beat? How do you breathe? What is your body posture? What thoughts are running through your head? Immerse yourself in this experience so deeply that your brain will begin to form new neural connections as if it had already happened. Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change, means that you're not doomed to be the person you were yesterday. Each new thought creates a new synaptic connection. Each new experience reinforces this connection. And when you repeat this process long enough, new neural networks become your new normal. The old ties that supported the old personality begin to atrophy as unnecessary. But here's the critical point. Change requires discomfort. Your body will resist. He is used to the old chemistry, to the old emotions, to the old personality. When you start thinking in a new way, the body will send signals. This is dangerous. These signals manifest themselves as doubts, excuses, sudden fatigue, a desire to postpone the practice until tomorrow. This is the moment of truth. This is the point where most people give up. They interpret discomfort as a sign that something is going wrong. But in fact, the opposite is true. Discomfort means that you are on the verge of transformation. This body of the old self dies so that a new one is born. Think of it as withdrawal symptoms. You are addicted to certain emotions, perhaps anxiety, anger, self-pity. These emotions have been your constant companions for so long that they have become part of your identity. When you stop generating them, the body panics. It wants its dose. And here the question arises, who is stronger, you or your program? Who controls whom? The mind controls the body, or does the body dictate to the mind what to think and feel? Mastery is to remain a conscious observer even in moments of greatest resistance. Observe your thoughts without identifying with them. Notice emotions without drowning in them. It's like being the director of your own movie instead of being an actor who forgot that he was playing a role. There is a state that we call a gap, that moment between a stimulus and a response. Freedom lives in this gap. Someone used to say something unpleasant to you, and you instantly reacted with anger or resentment. It was an automatic program. But when you develop consciousness, you notice this gap. You see an incentive. You see the old reaction coming up, and you choose, consciously, with full presence, how to answer. This is the moment when you stop being a victim of circumstances and become the creator of your reality. Each such moment of conscious choice is an act of reprogramming. You are literally teaching your brain a new way of being. And over time, what required titanic effort becomes second nature. A new personality takes root. But let's go deeper. What is personality? It's just a combination of how you think, how you act, and how you feel. Change your thoughts, and your neural connections will change. Change your actions, and your habits will change. Change your emotions, and your energy will change. Do all three, and you will become a completely different person. This is not a metaphor. This is a literal science. Epigenetics shows us that our genes are not our destiny. Genes are just potential. What activates or deactivates this potential? Signals from the environment. And what is your inner environment? Your thoughts and emotions. When you change your internal state, you send new signals to your cells. You literally turn on new genes and turn off old ones. People with the same genetic predisposition to disease can have completely different fates depending on how they live, think, and feel. The disease gene can remain dormant for life if you do not activate it with chronic stress, negative thoughts, and toxic emotions. And vice versa, you can activate the genes for health, longevity, and creativity. It all depends on what kind of internal environment you create. Now imagine that you can change not only your body, but also the circumstances of your life. The quantum model of reality says, consciousness is primary. Matter is secondary. What we call physical reality is a frozen form of energy and information. And if you can change information at the level of consciousness, matter must follow it. This is not magical thinking. It is an understanding of how the universe works at a fundamental level. Every thought is an electrical signal. Every emotion is a magnetic charge. Together, they create an electromagnetic wave that propagates into a quantum field. And the field organizes matter according to this signal. The problem is that most people send conflicting signals. In the morning, they visualize success. During the day, they complain about their problems to colleagues. In the evening, they fall asleep with anxiety about the future. Which signal will win? The one that is backed by the strongest emotion and the longest duration. That is why superficial positivism does not work. You can't just repeat affirmations if deep inside you feel the opposite. The subconscious mind, which controls 95% of your behavior and thinking, does not respond to words. She responds to feelings. If you say, "I'm successful," but feel like a loser, the body believes the feeling, not the words. Therefore, real work is not about thinking positive thoughts. It's about entering the state of being the person you want to become. Not to imagine success is to feel success. Not to dream of health is to radiate health. Not to desire love is to be love. When you transfer your point of identity from the present self formed by the past to the future self that exists in the field of possibility, you create an energy bridge. You begin to attract circumstances, people, opportunities that resonate with this new self. This is not mysticism. This is physics. But there's another layer that most people miss. In order to really enter a new state of being, you must first let go of the old one. You cannot hold two contradictory intentions at the same time. You cannot be attached to your victim story and at the same time create the reality of the master of your life. Letting go is an act of deep trust. You let go of control over how and when your new life will manifest. You stop clinging to the old ways of survival. You let the old self die. It can be intimidating. The old self is all you knew. It gave you a sense of identity, even if that identity was painful. People sometimes prefer familiar suffering to unknown freedom, because suffering, at least, is predictable. But think about it. Were you really losing? Restriction, fears, self-sabotage, negative beliefs that were never yours. They were implanted by society, parents, culture. You only lose what was never the real you. And what do you find? Authenticity, power, ability to create, a connection to something bigger than your individual little personality. You find who you have always been under all layers of programming. Therefore, it is said that transformation is not so much about becoming someone new as it is about discarding everything that is not real. Michelangelo said that he does not create a sculpture. He simply removes excess marble to reveal a form that already exists inside. You are already who you aspire to become. Your job is simply to remove everything that prevents it from manifesting. Now, let's talk about time. In our ordinary perception, time is linear, past, present, future. We live in the present, remember the past, plan the future. But quantum physics tells us that all possibilities exist simultaneously in an infinite potential field. The past, present, and future are just different points of observation in this field. When you meditate and enter deep states of consciousness, you go beyond linear time. You can touch the versions of yourself that exist at other points in the field. You can heal the traumas of the past because the past is not frozen. It is as plastic as the future when you look at it from the timeless space of consciousness. And you can borrow the state of your future self, the one who has already achieved what you dream of, the one who is already healthy, successful, free. You can bring this state to the present moment and start living from it right now. This is not a fantasy. This is practice. Every day, when you sit down in meditation and consciously enter the state of your highest self, you build a bridge between possibility and reality. Each such session is an investment in a new future. Each such session loosens the grip of the past. Eventually, you will start to notice a change. At first, they will be thin. Maybe you will react a little more calmly to stressful situations. Maybe you will notice that the old triggers no longer have such power over you. Maybe you will wake up one morning with an inexplicable feeling of joy, for no external reason. These are signs that transformation is taking place, that neural networks are being rebuilt, that your body chemistry is changing, that you literally become a different person on a biological level. And then external changes will begin to appear. Synchronicity, unexpected opportunities, people who appear in your life with the right resources or information, doors that open where the walls used to be. It's not magic or coincidence. This is a resonance. You change your frequency, and reality answered you with circumstances corresponding to this new frequency. You have become a magnet for who you choose to be. But there is an important caveat here. Don't get attached to a specific result. Do not dictate to the universe exactly how your new life should manifest. Your limited mind cannot cover all the possibilities that exist in the quantum field. Often what comes is beyond anything you could have imagined, for it comes from infinite intelligence, not from your limited planning. Your job is to enter the state of being and feeling. How exactly this will manifest itself, leave the field of opportunities. Trust. The universe has limitless creativity in how to organize matter and events to match your signal. People often ask, how long will it take? When will I see the results? But it is this question that shows that they still think in terms of the old paradigm. They want to control, predict, measure, and the field works differently. When you really enter a new state of being, not imitating, not pretending, but really becoming, time becomes irrelevant. You feel that you already have what you want, because on an energetic level, you really have it. Expectations disappear because you live from the place of realization, not from the place of marriage. And paradoxically, that's when material reality catches up with you the fastest. Because you stopped sending a signal of absence and lack. You stop telling the universe, I don't have this yet, give it to me. You say, I'm already that, thank you. Gratitude is one of the most powerful energies you can radiate. But not gratitude for what you have in the hope of getting more. True gratitude is the feeling that everything is already there, that your life is already full, that you're already blessed, regardless of external circumstances. When you feel deep gratitude, your body relaxes, your heart opens, your brain produces neurochemicals of well-being. You literally treat yourself with gratitude, and at the same time, you send a signal to the field that says, life is beautiful. Give me even more reasons to be grateful. And the field answers, now think about your life. How much time do you spend in a state of gratitude compared to a state of complaining, fear, frustration? The proportion of your emotional states determines the proportion of what you get out of life. This is not a mystical law. It is energy mathematics. Let's talk about the body. Your body is not just a physical mechanism that you carry with you. It is a living system that is constantly being regenerated. Your cells are renewed, your tissues are replaced. In a few years, you will have an almost completely new body at the cellular level. The question is, will this new body be a copy of the old one with all its limitations? Will you give him a new blueprint? When you live under chronic stress, your body builds itself to survive. It accumulates fat because it thinks that hunger is coming. It keeps in suspense because it thinks that danger is near. It accelerates aging because resources are used for survival, not recovery. When you live in a state of creation, relaxed, open, full of positive emotions, your body builds itself up to thrive. It regenerates faster. It copes with diseases more effectively. It produces the chemistry of youth and health. You literally choose which body to build with your inner state. There are documented cases of spontaneous healing. People who have recovered from incurable diseases without medical intervention. When you study these cases, you see a common pattern. Something has radically changed in their perception of themselves and their lives. They let go of old grievances, forgiven, found a new meaning. They changed their internal chemistry so radically that the body received a new signal and began to build itself in a new way. This does not mean that you should reject medicine. This means that medicine is only part of the equation. Your inner state is another part, and often this is the decisive part. Now let's get back to practice. How do you actually do this work day after day? The first step is awareness. You can't change what you can't see. Therefore, start observing yourself. What thoughts automatically scroll through your head? What emotions do you feel most often? How does your body react to different situations? Don't judge, just notice. I witnessed my own automatism. The second step is a decision. Be clear about who you want to be. Not what you want to have, but who you want to be. What are the qualities of character? What are the states of consciousness? How do you want to feel every day? Write it down. Make it specific. This is your new blueprint. The third step is meditation. Every day, preferably in the morning, before your mind is loaded with old programs, set aside time for practice. Calm the body, calm the mind, enter the space of silence. And from this space, visualize yourself as you have chosen to be. Feel the emotions of this new self. Allow the body to remember this state. The fourth step is to bring it into life. After meditation, the challenge is to stay in this new state throughout the day. Every time you notice that you are returning to old patterns, gently bring yourself back. Don't reproach yourself for kickbacks. Just come back. Over and over again. The fifth step is patience and consistency. Neural networks are not rewritten in a day. The body does not change its chemistry instantly. This is a marathon, not a sprint. But every day of practice is a step forward. Every moment of awareness is a victory. And there is another element that is often forgotten: community. Transformation is easier when you're surrounded by people who follow the same path. When you see others changing, it reinforces your belief in possibility. When you share your breakthroughs and challenges, you gain support and understanding. We are social beings. Our brain is tuned to mirror others. If you're constantly among people who complain and live in fear, your brain will copy these patterns. If you're among people who grow, change, and believe in opportunities, your brain will copy it. Therefore, choose your environment consciously. Look for a community of like-minded people. If such people are not physically around, look for them through books, podcasts, and online communities. Feed your mind with examples of what is possible. There is another aspect of transformation that is important to mention: shadow integration. Each of us has parts that we reject, hide, shame. Fears, anger, envy, shame are things that we do not want to admit in ourselves. But these repressed parts do not disappear. They go to the subconscious and from their control or behavior. True transformation involves meeting these shadows. Not to condemn them, but to integrate them. Admit it. Yes, I have that part. It appeared for some reason. She tried to protect me. Now I can hug her and transform her. When you integrate your shadow, you regain the energy that was blocked in the internal conflict. You become whole. And only a whole person can truly create from a clean place, without sabotage from unrecognized parts. This may require deeper work with a psychotherapist, coach through specific practices. Don't be afraid to seek help. Recognizing that you need support is not a weakness, but wisdom. Now let's talk about faith. Not religious faith, but deep trust in the process. Without faith, transformation is impossible. If you don't believe that change is possible, your skepticism itself is an energy signal that blocks change. But how do you believe in what you don't see yet? This seems like a paradox. We're used to believing our eyes. I see. I believe. The quantum paradigm turns it around. I believe. I see. First the choice to believe, then material confirmation. Faith is not blind naivety. This is a conscious decision. You choose to believe because the alternative, disbelief, will definitely not lead you anywhere. This is a practical choice based on an understanding of how consciousness works. And faith grows with practice. The first small results strengthen it. Every synchronicity, every unexpected opportunity, every moment when you feel a change in yourself. These are the proofs that fuel faith. And over time, it becomes unbreakable. Now, the important question is, why do you want to change? What is your motivation? If you want to change in order to escape from suffering, this is one level. If you want to change to prove something to someone, it's another level. If you want to change because you feel a deep call to become the best version of yourself, this is the highest level. Motivation based on fear or scarcity has limited power. It can start you at the start, but it will quickly run out. Motivation based on love for oneself and one's potential, on the desire to serve something more, is inexhaustible. Ask yourself, why me? Why did I decide to wake up and change my life? What do I want to bring into this world? How can my transformation affect others? Because here's the truth. When you change not only your life, you influence everyone around. Your new energy is passed on to your family, friends, colleagues. People feel it even without words. And some of them, inspired by your example, will also begin their path of transformation. We are parts of a single fabric of consciousness. When one knot of this fabric raises its vibration, it is felt throughout the network. Your personal work is a contribution to the collective evolution of humanity. This is not an exaggeration. Research shows that when enough individuals reach a certain level of consciousness, it affects the entire field. A critical mass can trigger a wave of awakening that will change culture, society, and the world. You're a part of this wave. Every time you choose consciousness instead of automatism, love instead of fear, creation instead of reaction, you add your voice to the chorus of those who are building a new reality. This is a great responsibility, but this is also a huge privilege. You live in a time when transformation tools are more accessible than ever. Knowledge that was previously passed on only from master to student in closed traditions is now open to everyone. Science is finally catching up with what mystics have been talking about for millennia. And you're here. You read these words. This is not a coincidence. Something led you to this information at this moment. Something in you is ready for a change. The only question is, will you make a move? Will you take responsibility for your life? Will you stop waiting for external circumstances and begin to change from the inside? No one will do it for you. No guru, no book, no practice can transform you without your active participation. Everything is just tools. You're the one who uses the tools. You are both a master and a creation. You are both a sculptor and a marble. Every day is a new chance. Every moment is a point of choice. You can choose familiar or unknown, restriction or freedom, past or future. What will you choose? Close your eyes for a moment. Feel your body. Notice your breathing. And in this silence, ask yourself the question, who do I want to be? Not what I want to have. Who do I want to be? Let the answer come not from the mind, but from the depths. Maybe it will be an image. maybe a feeling, maybe just knowledge. This is your compass. This is your North Star. And as long as you keep it in sight, you won't get lost. The path will be nonlinear. There will be kickbacks and breakthroughs. There will be moments of doubt and moments of incredible clarity. This is normal. This is part of the process. The main thing is to keep going. And remember, you are not alone. Millions of people around the world are waking up right now. Millions of people are doing the same job as you. You are part of a single movement, a single wave of consciousness evolution. We are all connected. We are all on our way home, to our true nature, to our highest potential, to who we have always been under all the masks and programs. It's time to drop your masks. It's time to exit the app. It's time to become who you were born to be. And it starts right now, in this breath. At this point, are you ready? There's one story I want to tell you. Imagine a person who has lived in a dark room all his life. She was born there, grew up there, and her whole experience is this darkness. She learned to focus on touch, sound, smell. She created a whole model of reality based on the fact that the world is dark. And then one day, someone opens the door. A beam of light falls into the room. How does this person feel? Not joy as one might expect. First, pain. Her eyes, which have never seen the light, cannot bear its brightness. She closes herself, turns away, wants to return to the familiar darkness. This is a metaphor for awakening. When the light of awareness first penetrates the darkness of automatic existence, it can be painful. You suddenly see how you lived. You see your patterns, your limitations, your self-sabotage. And the first reaction is often to defend yourself, deny, go back. But if you endure this initial discomfort, if you allow your eyes to adapt, a world will open up before you, the existence of which you did not even suspect. Colors, shapes, space, everything that was impossible in the dark. It is the same with the transformation of consciousness. The first steps can be uncomfortable. You see things that you would rather not see. You realize how many years you have spent on limiting beliefs. You can feel regret, anger, sadness. Let these emotions be. They are part of the process. They are evidence that you are moving, that the old system is bursting at the seams, that something new is being born. Now let's talk about something that is often overlooked in spiritual and transformational teachings: the body as an ally, not an enemy. Many traditions teach that the body is an obstacle, that it needs to be tamed, controlled, defeated. But this is a mistake. The body is not a prison of the soul. The body is her temple, her instrument, her partner. Your body contains the wisdom of billions of years of evolution. It knows how to heal wounds, how to fight infections, how to maintain an incredibly complex balance of thousands of biochemical processes at the same time. You don't consciously control your heart rate. The body does it for you. You don't digest food by willpower. The body does it automatically. When you work with the body and not against it, the transformation is faster and deeper. The body is the point of entry into the subconscious. Through movement, breathing, sensations, you can touch layers that are inaccessible to the analytical mind. That is why somatic practices are so powerful. When you consciously breathe, when you move with presence, when you feel your body from the inside, you create a direct channel to the unconscious. You can release emotions stuck in the tissues. You can rewrite patterns encoded in posture and movement. Trauma lives in the body, not only in memories, in muscle tension, in breathing patterns, in the way you hold your shoulders or clench your jaw. When you release this bodily memory, psychological changes often occur spontaneously, without lengthy analysis or therapeutic conversations. Therefore, include the body in your practice. Meditation is not just about sitting in silence. It is also conscious work with breathing, scanning sensations, relaxation of tension zones. When you enter deep meditation, the whole body becomes part of the process. And there is one more aspect, the heart. The physical heart is not just a blood pump. This is a complex neural center with its own brain, about 40,000 neurons that form its own nervous system. The heart sends more signals to the brain than the brain does to the heart. When you enter a state of cardiac coherence, when the heart rate becomes smooth and orderly, it affects the entire body. The immune system is strengthened. Cognitive functions improve. The emotional state stabilizes. And here's the key point. Cardiac coherence is achieved through positive emotions. Gratitude, love, care, compassion. These states automatically bring the heart into a coherent mode, not through control, but through feeling. Therefore, practice should not be an effort of will against the body. It can be a gentle invitation of the body to a new state. When you cultivate positive emotions in your heart, the body becomes your ally, not your opponent. There is one more topic that I want to touch upon. This is the nature of reality. We're used to thinking that there is an objective world out there, outside, and we're the subjects here, inside, who observe this world. Classical science was based on this assumption, but quantum physics has destroyed this model. It showed that the observer and the observed are inextricably linked, that the act of observing influences what is observed, that there is no clear line between here and there. This is not a philosophical abstraction. It is an experimentally confirmed fact. The two-slit experiment demonstrates this over and over again. The particle behaves like a wave when not observed, and like a particle when observed. The very act of measuring changes the result. What does this mean for your life? This means that you are not a passive observer of reality. You are an active co-creator of it. Your consciousness is not just a mirror reflecting the world. It is a lantern that illuminates certain possibilities and collapses them into experiences. When you look at your life from the perspective of a victim, you see evidence of your sacrifice everywhere. When you look from the position of a creator, you see opportunities everywhere. The same objective world is a different experience depending on the point of observation. This does not mean that you can ignore physical reality or deny challenges. This means that your interpretation, your focus, your attitude, all of this actively shapes how reality unfolds for you. And there is a deeper level. At the quantum level, matter is mostly empty. An atom is a tiny nucleus in the ocean of space, with electrons that exist more as clouds of probability than as solid particles. If you could take all the empty space from the atoms of the human body, all of humanity would fit into a sugar cube. So what keeps this emptiness in shape? Information, energy patterns, fields that organize matter into structures. And consciousness seems to be part of this process of organization. Mystics called it the illusion of matter. Science calls this the quantum nature of reality. The words are different. The essence is the same. The world is not as firm and fixed as it seems. Under the surface of the visible is a dance of energy and information, which your consciousness influences. Now, let's talk about time in a different way. We have touched on this before, but now we will go deeper. Your experience of time is determined by the state of your consciousness. When you are stressed, time seems short, fast, and sufficient. When you are in the flow, carried away by activity, hours fly by like minutes. When you are in meditation, A minute can feel like an eternity. This is not an illusion. These are different modes of experiencing time. And here's the key insight. The future is created not in the future, but in the present. Each moment of now is a point of creation from which what we call the future radiates. When you live in the past, your thoughts, emotions, reactions are based on what has already happened. You're essentially using an outdated map to navigate. And it is not surprising that you find yourself in the same places over and over again. When you live in a future in anxiety mode, you imagine negative scenarios and feel them as real. Your body produces stress hormones in response to things that didn't happen and may never happen. You literally poison yourself with imaginary problems. The real point of strength is the present moment, not a past that no longer exists, not a future that doesn't exist yet. Only now is the only real thing. And here's the paradox. To create a new future, you need to be fully present in the present. Don't think about the future. Be who you want to become right now. Do not wait for conditions. Create an internal state right now. When you do this, you break out of the wheel of time. You cease to be a hostage of the past and a slave to the fear of the future. You become the master of the moment. And from this position of the owner, you can consciously choose what to invest in this moment. What is the intention? What energy? What a version of yourself? There is a concept that is worth understanding. This is the difference between horizontal and vertical time. Horizontal time is how we usually think of time, a linear sequence of moments, one after the other, from the past to the future. Vertical time is the depth of each moment, access to timeless space right now. In meditation, in states of deep presence, you enter vertical time. You feel an expansion, a depth, a connection with something that goes beyond chronology. It's not an escape from reality. It's an entrance into a deeper reality of which linear time is just a surface. From this space, you can influence horizontal time. You can plant new seeds that will germinate in the future. You can heal wounds that seem past. Because from a vertical perspective, everything is available now. It may sound abstract, but practice makes it experiential. When you meditate deeply enough, you know what I'm talking about. You feel this transcendence of time. And then you return to ordinary consciousness with something new, with something that affects your whole life. Let's talk about relationships now, because transformation is not an isolated process. We exist in a web of connections with other people, and these connections are both a challenge and an opportunity for growth. Other people are mirrors. What annoys you about others is often a reflection of what you do not recognize in yourself. What you admire in others is an indication of the potential that is in you but has not yet been revealed. Relationships are constant feedback if you're willing to see it. And there is a deeper level. We are energetically connected to the people around us, especially with those with whom we have close relationships, family, partners, friends. Our fields interact. Our emotional states influence each other. When you change, it inevitably affects your relationship. Some people will support your development. Others will resist because your change threatens their comfort zone. Your height can cause their insecurities. Your light can illuminate their darkness, and it can be uncomfortable for them. Be prepared for this. Do not give up your path for the sake of maintaining dysfunctional relationships. But don't reject people harshly either. They're also on their way, just at a different point. The best you can give to others is the highest version of yourself. Not sermons, not advice, not attempts to change them. Just be who you choose to be. Radiate what you cultivate. And those who are ready will feel it and respond. Those who are not ready will go their own way. And this is also good. There is another aspect of a relationship: forgiveness. I can't overestimate its importance for transformation. As long as you carry grudges, anger, hatred towards someone, you are energetically attached to this person and this situation. You give them power over yourself. You allow the past to determine your present state. Forgiveness is not about saying what happened is okay, not about forgetting or pretending that there was no pain. Forgiveness is a decision to free yourself from energy shackles. It's a confession. I'm letting go of this story. I'm not going to let her define who I am anymore. Often the hardest thing to forgive is yourself. All those decisions that you regret, all those mistakes for which you reproach yourself for years. But you're not the same one who did those things. The cells of your body have been renewed. Neural connections have changed. You are a process, not a fixed entity. Forgive yourself for the past. He did the best he could with the resources, the understanding, the consciousness that he had at that time. You can't change the past, but you can free yourself from it. Accept what happened, learn the lesson, and move on. Now about something that is rarely discussed: the dark side of the spiritual path. For not everything that glitters on this road is gold. There's a risk of spiritual avoidance when you use practices and concepts to escape from life and not to live more fully. When meditation becomes a way not to feel pain instead of living it and transforming it. When positive thinking becomes the suppression of negative emotions instead of integrating them. There's a risk of spiritual narcissism when you begin to think that you are better than others because you are awakened and they are not. When spirituality becomes another way to inflate the ego instead of transcending it. There's a risk of magical thinking when you think that it is enough to visualize and everything will happen by itself. No acción, no practical work. Just think positively and $1 million will fall from the sky. True transformation integrates all levels. It includes internal work and external action. It embraces the spiritual and the material. It accepts both light and dark aspects of being. Be honest with yourself. Check your motivations regularly. Ask yourself, am I really growing, or am I just creating new, more sophisticated escape forms? Am I becoming more human, more present, more capable of love and connection? Or am I becoming more and more isolated in my spiritual bubble? The best test is your daily life. Are you the best partner, friend, father, colleague? Is your relationship deepening? Are you able to deal with difficult emotions, your own and others, without escaping? Can you stay open when life challenges you? If the answers are yes, you're on the right track. If not, it may be time to correct the course. Let's talk about creativity. Creativity is not the privilege of artists. This is the fundamental nature of consciousness. You are constantly creating your thoughts, your emotions, your experience. The only question is whether he creates consciously or unconsciously. When you connect to the creative flow, you feel something special. Time disappears. The ego dissolves. Ideas seem to come from somewhere outside. Through you, not from you. This is a state that psychologists call flow and mystics call channeling. In this state, you are closest to your true nature. You cease to be a separate me struggling with the world. You become a channel for something more, an instrument of the creative energy of the universe. And here is the key point. This state is available not only when you paint a picture or write music. It is available in any activity, as long as you approach it with full presence and openness. If you cook food, you could be in the flow. If you talk to a person, you can be in the flow. If you solve a work problem, you could be in the flow. The secret is to let go of control. Stop censoring. To let something happen because of you. Trust the process, not knowing in advance what will happen, and be okay with it. It takes courage, because he wants to control him. It wants to know, plan, foresee. To let go is to admit that you're not omnipotent, that there is something more than your conscious will. For many people, this is frightening, but this is where the magic happens. When you let go, you make room for the unexpected, for what your limited mind couldn't think of, for the real new, not the recombination of the old. Now let's talk about the meaning. Man is a creature who is looking for meaning. We cannot live long without an answer to the question why. Lack of meaning is one of the deepest forms of suffering. And there's a paradox here. The meaning is not found. The meaning is created. There is no objective meaning inscribed in the universe that you need to discover. There is your ability to give meaning to your experience. This does not mean that the meaning is arbitrary or false. What you create can be deeply real and meaningful. But it is important to understand, you are the author, not an archaeologist. You don't dig up the meaning, you write it. And it's incredibly liberating, because it means that you're not powerless in the face of folly. In any situation, even the most difficult one, you retain the freedom to give it meaning. It doesn't deny the pain. It transforms the pain into something that matters. People who have survived the most terrible trials, concentration camps, loss of loved ones, catastrophes, and came out of them not broken, but stronger, have one thing in common. They have found a way to give meaning to their suffering. They used it as fuel for growth, as learning, as a path to deeper compassion. This is not a call to seek suffering or romanticize pain. This is the recognition that you have an inner resource that can transform anything, that you're never completely helpless in the face of circumstances. And often the deepest meaning comes through serving something bigger than yourself. When your life becomes a contribution, when your actions improve the lives of others, when you are part of something that is beyond your individual existence. It doesn't have to be something grandiose. Smile at a stranger, supporting a friend in difficulty, honest job done, the love you give to your family. All this is service, and all this is meaning. When your life is focused on something more than personal comfort or survival, you connect to a source of energy that does not run out, because it does not come from you. It comes through you. You become a channel, and the channel cannot empty until the source is full. Now, let's touch on the topic of death, not as something gloomy, but as a teacher. Awareness of mortality is one of the most powerful tools for transformation. When you truly understand that your time is limited, it changes everything. Little things cease to matter. What really matters becomes crystal clear. Many people live as if they have eternity. They postpone important things for later. They spend years doing things they don't like with people they don't like for goals that aren't theirs. And one day, often too late, they wake up and ask, "What have I been doing all my life?" Don't wait for this moment. Use the awareness of death now, not as a source of fear, but as a source of clarity. Ask yourself regularly, if I had a year to live, would I do what I do? Would you spend time with those people? Would you live like this? If the answer is no, this is a signal for change. Not tomorrow, now. Death is the limit that gives life shape. Without her, the days would be endless and therefore meaningless. Being limited is what makes every moment precious. Every breath is a miracle, and there's an even deeper level. Many spiritual traditions speak of death to death, the symbolic dying of the ego, the old self, a limited identity. When you go through this inner death, you are born again. You are no longer the one who is afraid of physical death, because you have already experienced a transformation that is more terrible. The one who died and was born again lives differently. He does not cling to things, status, opinions of others. He does not try to control what is not in his power. He accepts the fluidity of life because he himself has experienced a complete transformation and knows that this is not the end. There's a concept that is important to understand at a deep level. This is the difference between having and being. Most people in our culture are mother-oriented. They want to have money, to have relationships, to be successful, to have recognition. All their energy is aimed at acquiring something external. And they believe, when I have it, then I will be happy, successful, satisfied. This is inverted logic. She puts the cart in front of the horse. It promises future happiness that never comes, because when you finally get what you want, you already want something else. The mode of being works differently. You first become inside, in your state, in your energy. And from this state of being, the corresponding mother appears. Not the other way around. Do you want abundance? Become sufficient first, in your energy, in your sense of self. Radiate abundance. Think like a sufficient person. Make decisions like a sufficient person. And material prosperity will come as a natural consequence. Do you want love? Become love. Radiate love. Act out of love. Don't wait for someone to give you love so that you can love later. Start with yourself. And people who resonate with this energy will appear in your life. It's not just a pretty idea. It's a practical methodology. When you change your inner being, you change the signal you send to the world. And the world responds to this signal. Of course, this does not mean that action is not necessary. Actions are important. But actions that arise from a state of being have a completely different quality than actions motivated by lack and fear. The former are easy, inspired, and effective. The latter are difficult, exhausting, and often counterproductive. Now let's talk about intuition. You have a navigation system inside you that knows the way. Call it intuition, inner voice, higher self. The essence is one. There's a part of you that sees wider, deeper, farther than your analytical mind. The problem is that most people don't hear this voice. It is drowned out by the noise of thoughts, anxieties, external expectations. It's buried under layers of conditioning that say, listen to the experts, listen to authorities, don't trust yourself. But intuition is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. Start small. Notice those quiet impulses, subtle sensations, knowledge without words. When something resonates or doesn't resonate, it's intuition that speaks. Try to listen and act. It will not always be logical. Intuition works on a different level than logic. It takes into account information that is inaccessible to the conscious mind. Sometimes she leads you along paths that seem strange until you are where you need to be. And over time, you will learn to trust her. Not blindly, not fanatically, wisely. You will know when it is true intuition and when it is fear or desire disguised as it. This is a skill that is developing. Now, the important topic is about effort and letting go. These seem to be contradictory things. On the one hand, discipline, practice, and hard work are required. On the other hand, you need to let go of control, trust, allow. But these are not opposites. These are two steps of the same dance. First, intention and effort. You clearly define what you want. You take concrete steps. You practice discipline. You invest energy. Then there is letting go and trust. You let go of attachment to the result. You allow the process to unfold at your own pace. You trust that if your intention is pure and your energy is aligned, everything will come at the best time and in the best way. It's like archery. First, you pull the string. This is effort, concentration, preparation. Then you let go, and the arrow flies. If you hadn't let go, the arrow wouldn't have flown anywhere. If you let go without preparation, it would fall under your feet. The skill is knowing when to pull and when to release. It comes with practice, and often the hardest thing is letting go, because the ego wants to control the process to the end. It does not believe that without its constant intervention, something will work. But the best things in life come when you've done your part and back down. When you created the conditions and let life do the rest. It's not passivity. It's a wise activity that includes a moment of silence. Let's talk about another important topic, mistakes and failures. We are brought up to be afraid of mistakes. The education system punishes for incorrect answers. Society condemns those who fall, and we carry this fear into adulthood, paralyzing ourselves with perfectionism. But look at nature. Evolution works through mistakes, mutations, most of which fail, but some lead to new adaptations. The child learns to walk by falling hundreds of times. No master became a master without thousands of failures along the way. A mistake is not the opposite of success. This is part of success. This is feedback that says, correction is needed here. No falls, no growth. Change your attitude to failure. When something doesn't work out, don't run into shame and self-criticism. Ask, what can I take away from this? What's the lesson here for me? How can it make me stronger? And more importantly, allow yourself to take risks. Those who never make mistakes are usually those who never try anything serious. They live in a safe zone of mediocrity. Yes, they avoid the pain of failure, but they also avoid the joy of true achievement. Life rewards those who are willing to look like a fool while studying, who is ready to fall while going for something meaningful, who does not allow the fear of error to stop moving forward. Now about something that connects everything that has been said about integrity. Integrity is not perfection. This is when all parts of you move in the same direction. When what you think, what you say, and what you do are coordinated. When there is no internal conflict between different parts of your personality. Most people live in a state of fragmentation. One part wants one, the other wants another. They say one thing, think another, do a third. They play different roles for different audiences, losing sight of who they really are. This fragmentation is exhausting. The energy goes into supporting conflicting identities instead of moving forward. It's like rowing in different directions, a lot of effort, little progress. Transformation is the path to wholeness. Step by step, you integrate the separated parts. You acknowledge your shadows. You align your actions with your values. You stop playing roles and start being yourself. And when you become whole, your strength increases. All your energy is now moving in one direction. You become like an arrow flying to the target, not scattered, not bifurcated, but fully focused. It feels like freedom. You no longer need to remember which mask to wear for whom. No need to hide parts of yourself. There is no need to waste energy on maintaining the facades. You just are, and that's enough. And so we come to the end of this journey with words. But the real journey, your journey, is just beginning. You've read a lot. You learn about neuroplasticity and the quantum field, about the power of emotions and the wisdom of the heart, about meditation and presence, about the death of the old self and the birth of a new one. But knowledge without application is just information. It occupies a place in memory, but does not change life. True transformation doesn't happen when you read about change, but when you become a change. Therefore, I want to leave you with one simple but powerful question. Don't answer it right away. Let it live in you. Let it work in the body of the subconscious mind while you go about your daily activities. And when the answer comes, not from the head, but from the depths, act. Here's the question. What one change can I make today? Not tomorrow, not someday, but today, that will bring me closer to who I want to be. Don't look for big, dramatic answers. Big changes are made up of small steps. One moment of awareness. One new solution instead of the old reaction. One meditation instead of aimlessly scrolling your phone. One act of love instead of fear. Those little moments add up. They create momentum. They build new neural pathways. And one day you look back and don't recognize your ex because you've become someone new, step by step, moment by moment. Remember, you're not a victim of your past. You are not a hostage to your genes. You are not a product of circumstances. You are the consciousness that has the power to create. And this power is available to you right now, in this breath, in this moment. The universe is waiting for your signal. The quantum field holds endless possibilities for you, versions of your life that you can't even imagine. All it takes is for you to become resonant with these opportunities so that you respond to them with your energy, your state, your way of being. And when you do, when you truly become who you choose to be, reality will have no choice but to respond. Because this is the law. That's the nature of things. The internal is always reflected in the external. So don't be afraid. Don't doubt it. Don't wait for permission or ideal conditions. Conditions will never be ideal. No one will give permission. The only person who can start this path is you. The only moment when this can be done is now. You already have everything you need. Inside you is the same consciousness that created galaxies, the same creative force that invented life, the same infinite potentiality from which everything arises. You are not a separate little creature in an indifferent universe. You are the expression of a universe that knows itself. You are the way in which infinity experiences the finite. You're a breathing miracle, and this miracle has the power to change, evolve, transform, to become something that has never been there before. Use this power, not for him, not to prove anything, but because it is your nature to grow, to flourish, to become bigger. Let every morning be a new birth. Let each meditation be an entrance to infinity. Let every choice be an act of creation. And let your life become your greatest work of art. Because you're not just an observer of reality. You are its creator, and your time to create has come.